So there's been a lot of discussion about the dress that Ciara wore, I believe, at the Oscars. And so Cami and I were going to talk about that today and give some of our thoughts. And just FYI, we're coming from a Christian perspective, and that is the preface of this. And for us, this conversation, I mean, we're not into gossipy type of stuff. We're not trying to gossip or this and that. We have fun with a lot of topics and entertainment, but we really want to present edifying entertainment. That is our hope and goal with this channel, is to be entertaining, but at the end of the day, edifying, whether you're Christian or non-Christian. But we're not going to hide the fact that we are followers of Jesus. And Ciara and Russell Wilson are professing Christians, and that has been a huge aspect of their relationship. Even the early narrative of their relationship when Ciara got with him was, oh, she was leaving this devil, which was Future, and now she's with this man who swept her off her feet.
Hallelujah.
All of this, and that has been the narrative of their relationship.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to now brush that under the carpet all of a sudden, but we don't want to also come off as harsh. And so I'm going to let you start it off and give your thoughts on Ciara's dress that she wore at the Oscar, and just share kind of like your perspective of like modesty when it comes to professing Christians.
Yeah. So first and foremost, I do want to say, when I saw all the different point of views, all the different discussions on this, I keep in mind Matthew chapter 7.
Okay.
And verses 3 through 5, and basically, the people were told, don't forget about the mote in your own eye. You so focused looking at the mote in other people's eye, things, the beam, but you got some in your eye. Meaning, none of us are perfect. We all come short, things like that. And so I do want to keep that in mind. But as a woman of God, like you said, and I think it's important to use wisdom. That's really where I think it comes down to. And just consider like your influence. Because I don't know, I kind of think about the quote from Spider-Man or whatever, with more responsibility.
Great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. And so what I'm saying is, you have a lot of women who are looking at her. They know they getting a lot of followers, things like that, when they got together, things like that. And he's like, oh, that's beautiful. People love them, their children, things like that.
Couple goals.
Exactly.
Whole lot of couple goals.
Oh, for sure. People talk about them with that all the time. Like, this is what I want, man. He a good man. And he, whatever. And so I'm just like, consider, all the people who are watching you, things like that. Your platform that you now have. I'm not just saying her whole career and things, because before him, she was somebody and things. But you just got to be aware of that. You want to use wisdom. Everybody's going to see it because you're in front of the cameras, you're at the Oscars, you're on the carpet, and things like that. Also, I want to say, you don't want to be like a distraction to like all these men, because you got yours. You got your good thing right here,
Exactly.
with her. And I'm just speaking to her because I'm not saying whether, like, oh, well, he let her wear it. No, I'm just saying for her. So I just want to keep in mind, like, oh, this is my husband. I got my good thing. I got my one. I don't have to look around. I'm sure when she was single and things like that, going through whatever, or her child's father and things, it gets tiring. And I know that from, a lot of people just sharing it. We're like, no. They're like, it's ghetto out here. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it don't matter if you famous. It don't matter if you poor. It don't matter if you rich. Whatever. It's just, you get tired of the looking. You get tired of putting, whatever you put into a relationship and then it failing. So it's like, she got her good thing. You know what I'm saying? And so you don't have to show all of that. You can be more modest. Now, on the flip side, I will say, the Christian community, they may critique whatever if they just feel like a little bit is too much showing.
Yeah.
It's a wide span.
They looking for something, right?
It's a wide
I feel like
span,
sometimes they
first
looking
of
for
all.
something to be
Of course,
honest.
we got to go back to the dress with, Mary, and, the dress, the white form-fitting dress. People was not having it. And she wasn't showing any flesh. It just was like, clinging to her hips and stuff. So I'm going to say it is a span and things like that. And I'm not even saying like, okay, she would have wear something just a little low cut where people have had a problem. Some people would have still had a problem with that or whatever. But I'm just saying overall, this dress, you know what I'm saying, this material, and then whatever was covering, the private areas, I think was just a little much to be showing to everybody, to the world, Personally, I think she could just, keep that off for her husband. But again, I'm not Ciara.
Right.
And the last thing I will say, and then I want to hear your words on it, is, you know, she don't know us. She don't know all these people who got all these words to say. And if people who are close to her, you know, Christian sisters in Christ, things like that, I think they can go to her. You know, us on the outside, we can pray, maybe, Lord, you know, show her wisdom, Lord, things like that. But the people who are in her actual circle, if they feel like something needs to be said, I would say that's on them. They can go to her because she knows where they're coming from. She knows they're coming to her out of love, you know, and saying, hey, sis, you know, that outfit, things like that. Because we definitely are going to take things better with honey than with some vinegar and things like that. People just talking about you, putting you down, wanting to see you fail. That's not the way to do it. You know, and Christians, I'm not talking about just people, unsaved people who don't care. I'm talking about Christians, everybody. And so definitely, yeah, I wouldn't do it.
No, I think well put. I don't have too much to share about it. All I can say is, in my experience in watching, like, you know, celebrities and people who profess Jesus, you know, out openly, and specifically to the context of like her, I think there is this lack of accountability that I think can be sometimes frustrating from them. And we saw this a little bit on occasion with Megan Good. Also, her and Devon Franklin. It just felt like there was a lack of responsibility, a lack of wanting to outwardly, you know, take responsibility for what you showcase. Like, if you're, and Megan Good, maybe people were too hard on her at times. I tend to believe they were a little bit too hard on her. I don't think she was as immodest as people made it out to be. But in the case of Ciara, I mean, a transparent dress where you pretty much see her entire backside, and then front pretty much looks naked as well, with the exception of, like, you know, her breast covered. Like, it was just really out there. And I don't think there's any way quantifiably that you could say that she is dressing modest or presenting herself modest. No, that was worse than wearing a bikini. You know what I mean? Like, that's worse than going to a beach in a bikini type of attire, which there are Christian women that do that. So all I'm saying is there was no real context for that. There was no water there or nothing like that. She's not going in the pool or anything like that. And I just think that she just completely missed it. But she was there with her husband. So I believe her and Russ were both there. And he allowed for it. So I don't want this to come off like I have an issue with her. I more so, and I'm going to speak more so to her husband. What are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing, Russ? It sounds to me like, because initially you could see the positive influence that he seemed to be having on her in her but in her life, and how, like, it kind of was putting her in a place where she, you know, was practicing more modesty, where it seemed like she was just really reconnecting with Christ. And that goes to the bigger issue, which is it's great when a man is right with God. I think that really does have a major influence on a woman. And I even have seen stats where it's like a better chance of a man who is a Christian getting with a woman and them becoming a Christian than vice versa. It's much less of a chance of a woman converting their husband to Christ in those scenarios. So men that believe in God are profound and powerful. And I'm not saying that Ciara was a non-believer. It seemed like she has raised in the church or some type of background in the church. So them getting together felt equally yoked at that point. But understand that, like, it seems like Russ is more caught up in being a celebrity. He's gotten that criticism on the football. You know, I'm big in sports. And he's gotten that criticism in sports, like, oh, you suck now all of a sudden because you're focused on being a celebrity, having your own office in the upper room with the owners and stuff like that, while the other players are on the first floor. And so it just seems like he's so caught up with celebrity that he's not really able to be the man of God that Ciara needs and needed when they first got together. And I don't know their situation. I don't want to speak out of turn. But I think when I see something like that happen, and we continue to see progressively her kind of trying to go back into where she was prior to him, you start to see, like, oh, he's kind of just understanding, like, hey, this is a part of her being a celebrity. She's a music artist. This is what she does. Therefore, she's going to do things that are immodest. The image. Yeah, and then making music. Like, and she's been getting criticized for this because she was relationship goals for all these years, and, like, really just pointing out how You know, she was swept off her feet and all of that. And then she goes and makes songs. She had a song recently, I think, where she's talking about being an independent woman. And she got dragged. They were like, what are you talking about?
It was like, this is not you.
You talked all this about, you got the man of your dreams and all this stuff. Now you're promoting the other single women to be independent when you were in need of somebody to sweep you up off of your feet. You got the man of your dreams and all that, but then you tell everybody else. It's just like the guys, the rappers out here who are living in the suburbs, who are completely removed from the streets and all that, still pushing cocaine, drugs, and all that stuff out to their audience. It's the same thing, basically. And she got called out for it as of late. And she's been called out a lot for these things. So I'm more so disappointed in Russell Wilson. And I know some women are probably going to see this and not like it and be like, oh, who are you to tell, why does he have to impose on what she wears and things like that? And that's not where I'm coming from. I'm just saying the standard here isn't a non-believer. The standard here is a Christian, and we can't ignore scriptures that call for modesty, both for men and women. We're supposed to be modest. We're supposed to wear things, not that it would cause somebody to stumble, even if Christian or non-Christian. She shouldn't be wearing stuff. And I don't know why you would want other people to see your wife like that. And it's just one of those things where I just think the industry, people are so captured by culture and want to do things for culture, but they don't. I really would love to see a world where Christians are actually influencing culture. We're influencing culture with modesty. We're influencing culture with the Bible, with truth, the love of God, all of these different things. But instead, you know, we're bowing down to culture. We're bowing down to all of these things. You have any final thoughts on this?
No, I think everything that was said. And no, I agree.
Yeah, so who's our thoughts on this? We'd love to hear your thoughts, but be nice. Leave a comment down below, but before you head out, hit the thumbs up, like this video, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this content and want to hear more content on relationships, marriage, and edifying entertainment as a whole.